At Buckingham Palace this week, it was all laughter, warm greetings, and the familiar chaos of a giant family Christmas lunch. The 90-year-old Duke of Kent, 7-year-old Prince Louis, and every branch in between. But 50 minutes away, in the soaking grey mist of Windsor Great Park, a man rode alone. Accompanied only by a groom, his face was set in a grim, unseeing stare. No smiles, no company, just the rhythmic plod of hooves and the drumming of the rain. This is Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and this solitary ride wasn't an accident. It was a statement, a chillingly perfect portrait of a life shrunk down to almost nothing. But what's really happening behind the high walls and security gates? What does the hour-by-hour reality look like for a prince who has lost everything? The inside story reveals a routine of such staggering emptiness and simmering bitterness. It shows you exactly what happens when the palace decides someone is beyond saving. To understand this barren daily life, you have to see the brutal, strategic endgame the palace played in 2025. This wasn't a slow fade. It was a targeted demolition. For years after that car crash Newsnight interview, Andrew and his dwindling band of allies clung to a fantasy. The Profumo scenario, a disgraced establishment figure rehabilitating himself through decades of quiet, humble charity work. They believed if he just kept his head down, the Epstein stuff would somehow blow over. But 2025 systematically destroyed that delusion. It began in April with the tragic death of Virginia Giuffre. That event didn't just bring sympathy for his accuser, it permanently closed off any revolting, whispered hope in his circle that she might one day be discredited. A crucial escape hatch slammed shut. Then, August brought the literary missile, Andrew Loney's biography, entitled. It wasn't just the decades of York scandals splashed across front pages again, it was the evidence. Resurfaced emails showed Andrew was in contact with Jeffrey Epstein a full 5 years longer than he had ever admitted. Another showed Sarah Ferguson calling the convicted sex offender her supreme friend. The past wasn't just remembered, it was weaponized with fresh proof. But the true masterstroke, the move that turned public irritation into outright fury, was financial. The revelation that Andrew had paid only a symbolic peppercorn rent, reportedly just £250 a week, for his lavish, 30-room Royal Lodge mansion for over 20 years. While the public faced a cost of living crisis, this was the ultimate one rule for them moment. Calls for a parliamentary inquiry exploded. The Public Accounts Committee shifted its gaze to the Crown Estate. The King was heckled on a walkabout, the footage gleefully spread by Republicans. The palace could no longer carry the political cost. The siege of Royal Lodge had to end. On October 30th, Buckingham Palace didn't negotiate. It issued a surgical strike. A statement stripped him of his last remaining style and titles. He was no longer His Royal Highness, the Prince, or the Duke of York. He was Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Formal notice was given to vacate Royal Lodge. The statement was cold, final, and notably included the line that these censures were necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations. The institution had officially overruled his personal protest. This was a calculated, terminal, palace operation to cauterize a wound. For the inside story on decisions this ruthless, make sure you're subscribed to Royal Family Daily. So, what now fills the vacuum of a life stripped of purpose, title, and prestige? Insiders describe a schedule of profound isolation, a loop of solitary hobbies with no audience. He rides, he shoots clay pigeons, he plays golf, and he watches television, endlessly. One source, speaking with a hint of pity, confirmed it. He does watch a lot of TV. He's always done that. He's always been a bit of a couch potato. The glamorous infrastructure of his old life is completely gone. The dinners at exclusive London clubs, the social whirl, all dead. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He's never seen out at restaurants. And here's the most telling detail. While he still has permission to host shooting parties on the Sandringham estate, the same source adds a devastating footnote. Nobody visits him anymore. The invitations, it seems, go unanswered. The phone doesn't ring. He's become a social pariah even within the rarefied circles he once dominated. Publicly, a few remaining friends push a narrative of stubborn strength. They use words like bullish, chipper, and amazingly resilient. They say he's in pretty good nick, bearing in mind what he's had to put up with. But peel back that thin layer, and the accounts from those who have to deal with him directly are far darker. They speak of a duty of care towards a man who, while not historically fragile, is now under almost unimaginable pressure. One source says the mood has been very, very flat as the penny has finally dropped. His biographer, Andrew Loney, summarises the prevailing sentiment. Andrew feels abandoned and embittered. He feels hard done by, that the world has picked on him, unable to fully grasp that his own choices paved this road. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, once said it was a joy to see him really shine as a grandfather. That role with Beatrice and Eugenie's young children, Sienna, Athena, August, and Ernest, is now cited as perhaps his only uncomplicated emotional anchor. But even that partnership is fractured. Fergie is reportedly in a very bad way herself, financially and emotionally, and is now pursuing a separate path, with talk of a new book or interview to rebuild her own shattered fortunes. Most damningly, the last flicker of hope within his camp has been extinguished. Until recently, some believed in a quiet, charitable comeback. That fantasy is now acknowledged as dead. A source finally admitted the brutal truth. The problem is, no one will have him. He's toxic. Now, he's bogged down in the deeply unglamorous, humiliating logistics of his own downfall. He must pack up a lifetime spent at the 30-room Royal Lodge. We're talking about the famously absurd collection, the 72 teddy bears which a staff member would reportedly line up in meticulous size order every single morning. We're talking about the fine art on the walls, loans from the royal collection that will soon be crated up and returned to their custodians, leaving the walls bare. His destination? Marsh Farm, a former working farmhouse 7 miles from the main Sandringham house. It's been unkindly called a shoebox. While that's an exaggeration, it is a plain, brick-built house with 2 reception rooms, in need of significant security overhaul. It is, by any measure, a stark downgrade, and he's dragging his feet. Sources say he's prevaricating with his head in the sand, hoping it will all go away, stringing it out. He's fighting a rearguard action over paint colours and security details, a pathetic attempt to control the one thing left to him, the timing of his own humiliation. Packing up a palace and a lifetime of scandals is one thing, but the legal and financial threats waiting for him are another. Stay up to date on every single development right here on Royal Family Daily. Here's the critical thing the palace doesn't want you to focus on. The house drama is a distraction. According to insiders like Loney, it's a sideshow. The real, unexamined scandal, he argues, lies in Andrew's years as a UK trade envoy and the opaque, complex web of York finances. Loney is demanding a full parliamentary inquiry and the release of all related government paperwork. His assessment is a chilling warning to the institution. I think the royal family is sort of thinking they've dealt with the problem when they haven't. They're still protecting him. Then there are the loose ends from the Epstein nightmare. More documents are scheduled to be unsealed in US courts. What names or details might emerge? Furthermore, could a UK parliamentary committee, now energised by the peppercorn rent scandal, use its authority to summon Andrew to explain his past living arrangements? It's a technical possibility that haunts courtiers. Even seemingly small questions have no answers. What happens to the late Queen's corgis, entrusted to the Yorks and now facing a split between Andrew and Fergie's separate households? So, we return to that image in the rain. This week, notably absent was the Grenadier Guard cipher he once defiantly wore on his sweater. A final, quiet surrender. It was just a sodden raincoat. His story is no longer about scandal or salacious details. It's about the consequence. This is the detailed, blow-by-blow blueprint of a royal life being dismantled. Not with a revolution, but with a steady, bureaucratic hand. Title by title, home by home, friendship by friendship, until all that remains is the hollow shell of routine, the TV remote, the solitary ride, the silent dinner table. The monarchy has surgically removed him to save itself. But the operation might not be over. The patient is alive, bitter, and sitting on secrets that others are determined to uncover. 2026 promises not a fresh start, but a grim transition to an even smaller, more scrutinised existence. His exile is the palace's greatest modern warning. To see what happens next, and who might be next, ring the bell for Royal Family Daily. We're just getting started.